British accent for one show.
We could just all talk about from
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, guys. It's your Blueline group with your Blueline Wives Roll Call podcast. I'm Shannon Gilbert with eMarch Real Estate.
I'm Jamie Wright with Wright Dalbo Insurance.
And I'm Amy Lewis with Priority Mortgage.
We are coming to you live from LEPD Firearm and Range right here on Bethel Road in Columbus, Ohio.
And for those of you that don't know who we are yet, we are a dedicated team of law enforcement families specializing in real estate, financial, and insurance services, fervent about creating ongoing professional relationships and giving back to our first responder families. Good morning.
We have something really fun to talk about today.
Yeah. I'm kind of nervous about it, though, because to be honest with you, it's kind of all come out. It's not really structured so much. So
well, we all have different opinions, different takes, and different points of views on things.
Yeah.
And I wasn't here when you guys decided this topic, so I'm really lost. I have no notes.
We decided this topic.
I don't remember.
It was like a month ago.
Yeah, that's probably why.
But anyway.
Yeah.
So you said this should be fun. So enjoy it.
So basically, we're talking about if mothers want to get started on
or just
finding their own way in life.
Their own way in life. There's been a lot of talk, and especially lately too, about female entrepreneurs and work-life balance, right? And how, as a female, how do you kind of create your passion, or what things do you do to get started? The technicalities behind how to get started and something like that, and actually figuring out from a leadership standpoint how you want to be and how you want to do that.
Right. There's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we all have different stages in life. Mm-hmm. Definitely, I feel like Amy can bring the stages because you had children, got married, and started your career.
Yeah.
You had children after you started your career.
Correct.
And I had children first, and then after they grew up, started my career. So I feel like we all have something.
Yeah, I was kind of back and forth on mine. Like, I did this for a long time, then I had kids for a couple years, and now I'm back doing all of this again. Mm-hmm. So it brings a whole new set of challenges in that.
Well, coming from your perspective, if you're just married, having children, how did you do it?
I pulled my hair out a lot. No. I've always worked. I've never not worked. So I think what I did is once I had children, I decided what was best for them as far as care and who the company they were going to be in. And then, of course, my husband and I worked with our schedules to see what was going to work best for our family. I mean, you put your family first. Everybody does. And you decide what's the best for your family. And then you work your work around that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. You decide what direction you're going to take if you have the ability to go part-time, if you have the ability to work from home. I think that's something that everybody explores when they're in kind of that middle situation.
Well, and you bring up an interesting little tidbit there. You're like, family comes first, and then everything else revolves around that kind of. That's not everybody's perspective. I mean, in some way, shape, or form, I mean, yes, your family's your family, and you have your structure within that family. But sometimes your career comes first, right?
Especially if you're paying the bills, you're putting food on the table.
A single parent.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to have to.
Yeah.
And so how does that reflect in your family and what? So here's the thing, too, about so finding your passion, finding your why, right? The first thing you need to do is figure out why do I want to do this?
Or even what do you want to do?
Yeah, exactly. Finding your passion.
Having a mission statement for yourself.
Yes.
That's
I love
a really good tip.
I love that. And then you can kind of do your outline from there, because I know that there's been so many conversations between me and my husband, and we do this like almost every time I get frustrated. But it's like, okay, what are our priorities? And then because every time you make something a priority up here, something else has to sacrifice.
Right. So that's where you come into, is my family first, is my career
Right.
first, and you have to make that decision if you are fortunate enough to be able to make that decision.
Right. And Jamie and I, we were talking before we went live, and to have to make the decision to see if it's even worth maybe the spouse, because it could be the wife that's a Leo. That's and the husband staying home. So is it worth sending your kids to daycare? Like, how much is daycare these days? You're getting ready to send your daughter.
Yeah,
Can you
it's
tell
not
us
cheap.
how much it is?
So I mean, and it's different in every city and county
or whatever
whatever
daycare you might send them to. Yeah,
but in the infant room, and their infant room is up until 18 months. So I know that, like, with Nixon, he went to a totally different daycare, and they had it structured completely differently. And I think that they're like 0 to to 12 months was like $1,200 a month.
Wow.
But and then the older they get, the less expensive it is because when they get potty trained.
Right. So I did that times 12.
Yeah.
It's 14,400.
Correct.
So sometimes, you know, it might be, that's just for one kid.
Yeah. Now with us, we'll be paying around $700 a month. Yeah.
So what if you have multiple children? Do you get a discount?
Yeah. Some daycares do give discounts for second and third child. I know that, you know, in Catholic schools, when I think the fourth kid goes free.
Oh, jeez.
Well, let's have another kid just so we can send them free.
Honey, we're at 3. Paying for 3. You might as well have one more to make it free.
So, but I mean, there are a ton of resources out there for that too. But yeah,
Sure,
I totally
but no, seriously, because if you have
understand.
2 kids, think about what you're paying in daycare. Did you pay daycare?
I was fortunate enough to be able to find a job that I could work from home, and I don't regret it. And it was in my field, it was in my line of work, so thankfully I wasn't able to skip a beat.
Well, and
it worked, but that's not everybody's case.
You're right. It's hard.
It's
so
hard.
you have to be able to, first of all, like you said, have a mission statement for yourself. And then I think another good tip is to create a budget for your family. What can you live with? What can you live without? What are your needs and wants? Focus on what your needs are and what has to be done first. And that comes first in your budget.
Sure.
And then you start with the daycare. Okay, how much am I making? Can we afford the daycare? Are we coming out on top? Or is it costing us more to send our kids to daycare?
Well, and I mean, these are all extremely relevant conversations when you, as yourself, are sitting
Hi,
down
Pawpaw.
and you're saying, okay, I'm ready. I want to start a business. Okay, what does that mean for our family? What does that mean for me as an individual? Because I'll tell you what, you're going to go through a pretty decent sized identity crisis.
Yes.
You really are.
Because as mothers, we're adding another hat.
Right. And that whole thing around, you know, mom guilt, and we've talked about mom guilt before too, but that's all going to play into that too. And then obviously too, your relationships with your friends are going to sacrifice, right? Because you're putting your career or your business, your passion first and foremost. And then, you know, everything that falls underneath that. And I think that the biggest thing after figuring out your why is taking a responsibility, right? You have to take responsibility for all of those things and all of those sacrifices and all of the frustrations. And I think that's a big one for a lot of people. It's really hard to kind of put that off on your situation in life or whatever, but you have to take responsibility for that.
You hit something right in the heart.
Just now?
Yes.
You feeling it?
Yes. When you said, depending on the career choices that you make or the business that you're going to start or the charity or whatever direction you go in, you're going to lose friends. It affects your social life. You will lose friends. That's okay. You'll gain new friends.
Absolutely.
But it changes your entire life and your social life, which is a stress reliever. You know, the podcast that we did last week talking about what is your social, you know, when you walk into the library, do you go sit in the corner or the coffee shop or do you talk to people or what have you? It affects your social life, which affects your mental well-being.
Well, and that's a great point too, because I was just having this conversation yesterday. You know, you have your friends that you vent to about certain frustrations in your life, you know. And she had mentioned something that she was listening to a podcast, and obviously one of the biggest things is self-care, right? Taking care of yourself. And then the other thing was surrounding yourself with people that you love and feel comfortable with, and a great group of friends that make you feel
people that build you up.
Good. And yes. And so I say you lose friends because there's a lot of times, and this isn't necessarily like a conscious effort that people are trying to rid you, but your come up, you know, when you change your opinions or you change your mindset, there's a lot of people that aren't ready to do that. So they're going to, if you want to call them haters or whatever, and maybe you're
it's
maybe
just
not.
a different life.
But it's just, it's a different mindset that you're taking on, and that's okay. As long as it's a positive in your life and your family's life, and this is something that you've always wanted to pursue. You're going to have to make sacrifices and take responsibility for those too.
Yeah, that's the ebbs and flows of adulting, being your own boss, choosing your hours. It is a give and take, and sometimes your social life will suffer for that, but you'll figure out who your true friends are.
But we're already used to that. We already have thick skin being a Leo wife. Because we lose friends right when we marry our law enforcement. So
we don't choose to lose them. They just kind of like, oh, well.
Yeah, or family. Yeah, so I mean.
Yeah, family too.
They weren't a friend to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And I mean,
But I think you bring up a good point too. Sometimes you even lose family, and you need to be prepared for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a question. So let's just hypothetically say somebody wants to start their own business, and because I have the choice to work from home, I choose not to. You were raising kids at the time. So did you shut the door and say, don't come and knock on mommy's door for an hour? I have to get, how did you do it? Because I have ADHD. There's no way I can sit there. I'm like, I got laundry. The dog's ringing the bell. I got to go let the dog out.
Well, I was fortunate enough to have a deadline, but the deadline was very reasonable for me and my work style. So I would work during naps. I would work at night. I worked a lot at night and on weekends because the office was in my house.
So you basically never had it during the day when your kids were home for summer?
If I needed to, I could. Yes.
They weren't banging on the door? Or?
No, my kids have always been very respectful.
Dog wasn't barking.
This is, we don't have dogs. So
okay.
Yeah, I couldn't take all of that. Kids are enough. I couldn't have pets too. They were always very respectful and but when they're infants, you can't do that. So you hold them while you're typing. You hold them or you feed them while you're on the phone. You just make that work because my husband helped as much as he could, but with his crazy schedule.
Yeah. So if you're on the phone with somebody and your kid cries, do you just say, "Oh, sorry, I'm home with my child today"? Like, how do you go about?
You don't make phone calls until nap time.
But they could still. She said feeding, so they could still wake up if you're feeding a bottle.
You don't answer the phone, or you don't take a phone call.
Well,
I worked on maternity leave.
Yeah, phone calls were never super long at that point. A lot of things could have been. Yeah. I mean, you take advantage of that mute button. You take advantage of a lot of emails, or you say, "I'm in a meeting from this time on my voicemail. I will call you back at this time."
Yeah, I mean, you have to figure it out.
Yeah,
and I think that's part of that sacrifice too. Because do you know how frustrating that would be for me?
For what? To stay at home?
To stay at home.
Like to stay at home and work.
Yeah,
it's hard because I struggle.
There is no way that I could do it.
It's hard for me even today, and my kids are.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking of 101 things I have to get done in the house. Yeah, and I can't even concentrate.
Well, the distractions are always there. I think what I did, though, part of what I did, which may not work for everybody, is I just had a certain day of the week I would do certain things, or if I knew that I didn't have time to work, I would clean one room a day or something.
Yeah,
but so this is another thing too, and in that whole conversation that you just had. We were talking about work-life balance and all that too. Like that's not necessary. You know what I mean? Like there's so many of us moms and career types that are like, we have to do it all. We have to do it all to feel fulfilled. My husband even asked me the other day, he's like, so if I were to do all of those things that you listed, and I think it was like clean the bathroom and whatever, he's like, how would that make you feel? And I was like, great, I love it. But your idea of cleaning is different than my idea of cleaning. So I have to do those things to actually feel fulfilled in them. Great effort, but
No, I have to do them because no one else is going to do them.
Well, so I don't have that problem, but I do have the
there's nothing more sexier than a guy with a cleaning rag.
I know,
just
right?
throwing that out there.
That's right. So, but it's true. There's a lot of pressure that we have on us because as a female, there's a lot of different expectations, I guess, that we put on ourselves, or maybe society has, or maybe that's just the way that, there's certain God-given traits that we're supposed to be wives and mothers, right?
Yeah.
And here we are having our own careers.
I was raised old school.
Yeah.
So I was raised that the female goes and gets married young age, starts having children, and then the male goes and is the breadwinner. And that's how I was raised. You have meal on the table every day. You iron.
Yeah.
You watch the kid. The whole house and the kids is your full responsibility.
Yeah. And my husband always says that I'm in management and he's in operations.
Oh, that's funny. That's a good way to put
it. That's how we run things.
But things are different now.
So
it's definitely not like it is, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, my husband's learning how to cook, so I agree with that, management and
operations.
Yeah.
But so we have that role, and then we're also taking on a whole nother full-time job, because running a home is a full-time job, right? And not only, you have help, if you will, your family, right? But then you but then you have to do the management and the organization and all of that too. There's a lot in that.
There's a lot behind the scenes that it takes to even prepare for that. People, you have to even think about meals.
Yeah,
making sure you have the groceries.
And I just ordered. I was sitting in the parking lot and I had 5 minutes while I was here, and I ordered groceries really quickly because I have, you know what I mean? It has to get done. So you have to prepare them. You have to think about what you're going to make, and you have to do the grocery shopping, and then, pick it up and put it away. And my husband, that's his job. And then
what did we do before ordering and delivering our groceries?
And then it's paying the bills. It's making people's doctor's appointments. It's all of that stuff. And then you want to throw on, oh, I want to own a business.
But I can tell you that I was a stay-at-home mom with 4 kids that did the grocery store, did all the cooking. I like my life better now. I mean, I miss it so much. Trust me, if I could go back tomorrow, I definitely would. So yes, I would. But I'm saying now I'm getting used to it. But I don't cook. I know how to cook. Guys don't.
Yeah.
So, well, and that's great. Like I retired. I don't cook. I mean, I have to clean, but I've learned. My grandma used to always tell me way back in the day when I'm like, I'm not going on vacation. My house has to be spotless. And she's like, you know what? Close the door. It's not going to matter. And are you crazy? It's going to matter.
Be there to look. My husband
now I'm getting to that point. So I feel like the older you get, the wiser you get, and I do shut my door.
And you just kind of let that control kind of roll off of you.
I'm like, oh,
it's different.
I'll be here tomorrow.
And that's a great point too, because we're all in different seasons of our life right now. And I remind myself all the time, or I'll text my husband and I'll be like, remind me that I'm going to miss this.
You will.
Because I'm in the mud, you know?
No, you will. Trust me, you will. But you don't realize that until your kids get older.
It's in retrospect, right? And you enjoy things differently, and you wish you would have enjoyed. And I just told one of my friends this last night. You know, the hard part is enjoying the journey. You know, we're all going to go through. We all have scars, and we're going to go through it all the time. But the hard part is enjoying that in that journey.
Yeah, it's all the process of becoming who you are as a person.
Right.
And maybe you are now deciding who you're going to be.
Sure,
as a
and
person,
I enjoyed it.
That's why you're feeling like this is okay. This is a good step for me because now I'm finding myself and my purpose.
I mean, at the beginning it wasn't like that. I struggled, but now I'm just like, woohoo! Like it's. Right. I'm finding my identity again.
Yeah, a sense of
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed staying at home with the kids. Like they were my life. But it's crazy because once they start growing up, you have to seriously refocus because you never had time for friends. You didn't have time for dates. And then now you're like, oh my gosh, like I don't even have a conversation with my husband without talking about the 4 kids. Yeah. Now what are we going to conversate about?
Right.
I made a date with a really good friend of mine for 2027. We put it on our calendars because that's when my youngest graduates. It's like we're having a date in 2027.
With your husband?
No, with a friend. With a friend of mine that I never get to see. I rarely get to talk to. We try our best to keep in touch. And she's like, I just miss that we never get to talk. I was like, 2027, it's our date. We're going to be there.
Yeah.
And I think, and that too kind of relates to like, and everything that we're talking about relates to, you have to be your own power. You know what I mean? You have to be the one that sets yourself and your mission and your standards for yourself. So you be your own power.
That's easier said than done.
No, and that's exactly what we're talking about here and how difficult that
struggle.
really is.
Yeah.
And it goes back to your mission statement, creating your plan and your budget.
Manifestos.
But here's the thing, it also is when you're either a firefighter's wife or a police officer's wife, it makes it 10 times harder because they're always gone.
Yeah.
Working, special, court.
Yeah.
So it's like,
what
really,
do you do?
Yeah.
Well, it takes a village. And I'll tell you what, if I had it like that, I'd have a staff. I would have
You're
a
building
staff.
your team.
I need a personal
You're building
assistant.
your team.
I mean, like a staff at my house.
Oh, gotcha.
I always said
That
I would
too,
have a
but-
chef.
Yeah, I'd have a chef and a assistant and a nanny and a trainer, and I'd have it all.
That brings up a good point of how I guess the Blueline group got started because I remember like, oh my gosh, like it's 95% of my clientele is law enforcement. So I'm like, I want to build a team of that insurance, lending, home inspection, all of that title. So that's when I called it Amy, and I'm like, Amy, like, what are we doing? Like, I want to build this team, has nothing but law enforcement, it's basically a real estate transaction from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, completely supporting law
One
enforcement
another.
families and first responders.
Right. So I reached out to, oh my gosh, help me out.
My name is Amy.
No, I reached out to, oh my gosh, help me out. I can't,
Tracy?
Tracy, thank you. See, listen, sorry, okay. Whew.
Her name is Tracy. We hope you get to meet her at some
Sorry,
point.
I know it's horrible. So I reached out to Tracy, and she was, hopefully she'll join us soon.
Yep.
She was on board. And then I reached out to Jamie.
Yep.
And said, hey, we need an insurance girl. Like, this is what our mission. And she was like, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
So I built that team.
Yeah.
And that's so the same thing about, I guess, at home.
Yes, absolutely.
You want to come over and clean? You can be my picker upper.
No.
You can be my chef.
Who's got time for that?
I know. If anyone wants to create some resources around and we can figure something out.
We need a stay-at-home Leo spouse that would like to be our right and left hands. That could be another part of our group.
You know what I was just thinking?
Absolutely.
You know how firefighters have usually 2 jobs?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They should go and start a cleaning business. Could you
Listen to
imagine
her.
how many people?
She's like her ADD's kicking in.
Third hands.
Do you know how many people would hire them? Could you imagine like 5? firefighters coming in like, hey, ladies, here to clean.
Oh, that could be your new pool boy.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
We're on
Seriously.
Okay,
here.
let's
Yes.
digress here.
Yeah. But, you know, we're talking about the main focus is entrepreneurship and what works best for your family and how do you still take care of yourself. But let's not think about, or let's think about that entrepreneurship can be in several different forms. If you don't have the luxury of childcare or however your budget's going to work or your time, what about an MLM? You can certainly do something like that. You make your own hours. Everybody has a friend who does some type of sales. You can get in on that. That can be a separate way where you can start your own business but still make money and contribute in other ways.
I know somebody that's made, an amazing career out of that. But I mean, it's work. You know, you gotta put in the work for anything, and that's what that goes back to my original statement of you have to figure out your why, and take responsibility for that. And then you need to make your outline and how that's going to work for you and be your power.
And piggybacking off what you just said, if I stay at home, I can't really get work done. When I say work done, I'm not motivated. But if I go into the office, I'm more motivated.
Me too.
You have too many distractions.
But I'm just saying, like, it's
the
just being
environment.
around. Yes. Like, I mean, I will make those calls I didn't want to make, or I would, just do the things I didn't want to do at home.
And that's how you take responsibility for your success.
But you're right when you say that it's how much work that you put into it is what you're going to get out of it, which is absolutely true. It's like you set your own hours, especially all three of us, own our own business per se. So you set your own hours.
Right.
And if you don't put the work in, you're not going to see the results.
Absolutely.
That's exactly right.
Which is a great mirror of failure because everybody's afraid to start something because they're so afraid of there's a lot of different things that go into that, but fear of failure.
So who would you be failing, yourself?
Or what other people think of you. That might be a huge reason why you don't want to get started into something. Yeah. But I think the thing about failure is you have to fail at something to learn the lesson, right? And the lesson will keep repeating itself until it's done, until you've learned what you're supposed to learn from that lesson. And that could say like for relationship choices that you make or friends.
I was just saying that mirrors parenting.
Yeah.
How many times we give our children advice and they still don't take it and we say, trust us, we've learned the hard way. Our kids aren't going to learn until they make that mistake. Your business is going to be the same way. Yeah. I tell you, there's been
I'm in trouble. Because with Jimmy, my fourth, I'm like, I don't care. Do what you want to do.
Poor Jimmy.
So I'm in trouble.
He'll be wise beyond his years. You'll be fine.
Yes, he'll ask me, I'm like, sure, buddy, I'm tired. I don't feel like arguing.
Right?
Which he's still with Jim's mom. He's been there for like 3 weeks. Yeah.
So I bet he's
going to come
fun.
home.
That's
he is.
Fun.
Yeah.
Nice. That's nice.
He tells me he saves me money because he's not ordering DoorDash every day, which is true.
Because Grandma's probably cooking for
That's
him
right.
and spoiling him.
Of course.
That's fun.
Oh, she spoils him, but I mean, she sets boundaries for sure.
Does she?
Yeah.
She's a good woman.
She is. Yes, for sure.
Speaking of grandmas are all leaders of our family too, right?
Yes.
How they lead.
Of course.
They lead. And I think being a leader also too, like, just like we do here, like you have to empower people. You know what I mean? You have to say like, I got you. What can I do to help you? How can I help you achieve this goal? Like you got this. Like you just have to empower people. And that doesn't necessarily mean words and obviously means actions too. Like what can I do to help you become successful? Because that is you're going to get out what you put into it, right? So if you're empowering people, if you're inspiring people, if you're being their cheerleader, then that all kind of creates your culture.
Right. But the action is the most important. You can say, the verbal's important when you're building people up and you're complimenting them and you're cheering them on. You can do this. I'm right behind you. But it's when you step up and say, who can I call? What can I do? Who do you want me to talk to, and how can I help you out?
And that goes for husbands, too. Husbands, if you're listening, great advice for relationship. If they can just come and say, you know what, you look stressed. What can I do to help you out to eliminate this stress?
Yeah.
Same thing with relationships.
Yeah, of course.
And they're always changing.
Of course.
Yes.
And I know we're almost done here, and I wanted to
that was fast.
I know. I wanted to just kind of make one mention. I went to another women's leadership conference in Columbus. And the CEO, do you guys know the CEO of BrewDog?
I know who you're talking about.
Allison Green.
I know who you're talking about.
So they had her there, and they did a breakout session, and it was super cool.
Wait, did they bring any samples?
Samples.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Unfortunately, I didn't get one.
I would have came just for the samples.
but yeah, they did. And so there was like a Q&A session, and you know, and I don't remember the exact question, but she said, and this was super cool. I mean, she said a lot of cool things, but she said, find out what makes you incredible and put that in the front.
Don't ever be afraid to brag on yourself.
Don't let anyone else decide who you are.
That's true.
And I was like, one more time.
Right, and again, so with you and myself would be different because I enjoyed staying at home. Like, I felt like that was what I was supposed to do. Where you look, like your career, and nothing wrong with that, and you need that. So
she strives for a balance.
So, yeah. So, but if you even asked me 20 years ago, like, I still would have stayed home.
Yeah, not me.
I wouldn't.
And that's fine. A lot of, I get it.
I wouldn't change my choice either.
No, I get it. But there's to each your own. But I mean, there's a lot of people that, I do feel like now I'm less stressed for when I can eat in peace. I have a break. Seriously, I feel like look back because I was like, I can't believe how did I even do all of it by myself? Because I'm like, I never ate anything, as I was always cold, never had a break. Like, don't step on my floor. I just mopped it. Like, I was totally a stress ball. Didn't drink.
Maybe you should have
come full circle.
So, but I can see being a career and raising kids, it almost makes you be a better mom because you can have time to yourself and then go home and give your all to your children.
Which is what we've been talking about for the, take care of yourself first. You have to breathe. You take the oxygen before you can help anybody else breathe.
Where I was always like stressful, I was just always stressed out.
But so along with that, find out what makes you incredible and put that in front. If you're a credible mom, that's your passion and you want to make a career out of that, then do that. If you want to, sell flowers, whatever the case might be, just figure out what makes you incredible. And that could be your attributes too. Like, I'm honest, I'm kind, I'm organized, figure out your why.
Everybody has a gift and a talent. It's just a matter of finding it and building upon it.
Right.
Let's recap with a few good points. Start out with your why. Start out with your family situation. Make your budget.
Take your responsibility.
Surround yourself with the people who build you up and support you.
Yeah, and understand your sacrifices.
Too, also podcasts. There's tons of podcasts out there.
There
that
are.
Is inspiring that you can listen to it and you're ready to go. You're ready to take on the world.
Yeah, you have to take advantage of social media on every aspect, whether it's promoting yourself or learning for yourself.
Yeah, I mean, but yes, there's so many resources out there for just even if you have it in your mind, your mindset's like, I really want to do something. I hate what I do. I want to start something new. I don't even know what that is. There's a ton of different personality tests. There's all kinds of things out there that you could do. And it's also really great to just sit down and talk to a friend that's like-minded to help you get started too.
I think a lot of people, though, take for granted that they have a gift and they don't know it. I don't know my purpose. I don't know what it is. But, a gift and a talent can come in all different forms, whether it's the way you care for people. That's a gift. Not everybody cares. Your ability to communicate with people. Some people have that gift. You have to find what your gift is, and you need to look in a place that you least expect, and that's your gift.
Yeah. Or you're funny.
Yes.
And we all like those makeup tutorials too.
Oh my gosh.
There's a ton of things you could be doing. Just figure out your why and your passion in life.
That's another resource, YouTube.
That's right.
That's a good one.
Yes,
that's right.
That's right. So next week, maybe we can ask our viewers to write in questions. Maybe we can do another, I don't know, what do you guys think?
Like Q&A? Yeah.
Q&A?
I think if you have questions about anything that we've said, we all combined have so many resources between us. We know a lot of people. We have a lot of resources as far as paper materials and professionals. If you have questions about how to get started, what you want to do, how do you find your gift, what's a smart way to go, send us your questions. We'd love to answer them for you and help you in the right direction.
Yeah, or even if you're a new LEOW and you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, what do I do?
We
I
hear
just
that
have
too.
kids.
Yeah,
I'm
we
pulling
hear
my
that
hair
too.
out and my husband's never home. And
they're actually, I think they're silent because
they
think they're alone. Like,
asked.
they think they're the only one dealing with it. And it's almost like they're embarrassed because it's like you really don't want to open up. You're just newly married. You don't want to be like, oh, this life is crazy.
Or you're super excited and you have no idea what to expect.
Yeah, that was you.
So,
yeah.
she had blinders on. She's good now. We pulled her in.
Yeah.
No, I do remember. Like, it was a sad time. But a few years back, I think you guys just got married, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And I remember, like, oh, boy, she's in for it. Like, all smiles over there. I'm like, just give it a couple years. No, I'm kidding. She said, But no, it's all good.
I love
yeah,
it.
of course. No, I mean,
I
of
do.
course, but just lots of stuff comes with it.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, send us your questions. We won't use your name. You can put anonymous, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
So
we
how
can.
how can they get a hold of us if they wanted to send us questions?
You can email us at bluelinegroupofOhio@gmail.com. You can comment on our Facebook page. That's Blue Line Real Estate Services Central Ohio.
Yeah.
Hit us up.
I'm trying to think. We have an Instagram.
We do have an IG.
What's our
Blue
handle?
Line Group of Ohio.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then Twitter. Horrible about Twitter. Amy was supposed to take over Twitter, but it's not happening.
Shannon beat me to it.
Look,
I
Blue Line
stopped
Group
doing it.
Ohio.
Responsibility.
We
I
are
stopped taking it.
hashtag.
Well, I was supposed to take over Facebook, but Jamie does a lot more than that than me anymore, just because it's rough in the summer. So it's my busiest season.
The summer
Yeah.
is so busy for everybody.
Yeah,
It is
so-
for everybody, and it all
We get
trickles
it.
down.
So
get
yeah,
it.
that's the last thing I will pick up is my phone at night.
But point being, you can find us anywhere.
Yeah.
That's right.
Hit us up.
Hit us up.
That's right. That's right.
All right, y'all.
All
Well-
right. So we are live from LEPD Firearms and Range on Bethel Road, right here in Columbus, Ohio. And we are your Blue Line group with your Blue Line Wives Roll Call podcast. Until next time, ladies.
Stay safe, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Hopefully it doesn't stay on this time like it did